when you started doing your novels, your Star Wars novels,
Right.
the way that canon was informed was very different than it is now, where there's entire departments and all kinds of stuff. And you mentioned something that there were no Sith back then. So how do you navigate that kind of stuff when you have questions about the rules of the universe back in those days?
Look, my degree's in history, so I'm used to doing a lot of research. So think of this as a historic. Think of the X-wing books as historical novels. They're just set in the Star Wars universe.
I love that.
When I sent my manuscripts in, both for the scripts for the comics and the novels, they were all footnoted. So if I needed a spaceship, I would go to one of the West End books, and it would be noted in a footnote. This is where I got that spaceship from. Or in the case of some weapons, I remember I needed a shoulder-launched anti-aircraft missile, and there was none. But it worked out in a West End product. They had a something Mark I, which was a small missile, sort of like that. And then they had a Mark III, which was something much bigger. I needed something right in the middle, so I just called it whatever, the Mark II. And my footnote said, "This is why I'm calling it a Mark II. This is where it fall. If this is not going to be good, this is not good for you, I can change it. But I need this to be able to shoot that thing down." And they were great.
And when you talk about West End, are you talking about West End and SSI's role playing game?
Yeah, it was their just regular role playing game. Yeah, so West End games.
It's fascinating to me how much lore is actually originates. Like, I don't know if people realize that how much of the expanded universe lore was actually first introduced in that role-playing game. I know we had Darth Maul on the show, and
Sam
Witwer, and he's a huge nut over that stuff, and he knows all those little details down to like some scientific like understanding of it.
Yeah.
Look, when I got the contract for doing the X-wing books, one of the first phone calls I made was to friends of mine at West End Games. And I said, "Look, I just got a contract to write 4 novels. I need one of everything." And they said, "Do you mind taking, scratch and dents? Do you mind taking things we've had returned from, the scuff covers and stuff like that?" And it was like, "I will take anything. You guys are doing me a favor." And that's why in the books, I ended up thanking West End Games for their generosity. But that was, I think when I was doing those books, I had about 6 linear feet of source material, just between novels and game stuff to be able to tear through. And then occasionally you'd have questions, and I would write to my editor at Bantam. She would send it over to Lucasfilm. Lucasfilm would send the answer back to her. I would finally get the answer. And back then Lucasfilm was, because the continuity was still being solidified, they were still discovering anomalies. And both Tim Zahn and I, on different occasions, people at Lucasfilm said, "Hey, we noticed this anomaly. Can you fix it? Can you find something that will clear this up?" And for Tim and me, it was a lot of fun to go through and say, "Okay, we can rationalize this," because that's what writers do anyway. But it would be, we're getting to fix canon. Holy crap, this is so cool.
Do you have any example of that?
Well, the Super Star Destroyer that Darth Vader had in the source material, there were 2 different shipyards that were said to build it, which is why in the X-wing books I didn't choose one over the other. It's just that there were 2 built. One was the Executor, the other was Lusankya. And Lusankya was the one that Isard used, and so that was critical to my books. But that solved that problem. The rumors were, yes, there were 2 shipyards that did build a Super Star Destroyer, only one built the executor. The other, built the Sankhya. So
cool. I love how you guys have to make up your own canon, kind of just like, hey, fix this for us.
Yeah, well, like I say, and for us because we're just freelancers, Lucasfilm calls up and says, in essence, hey, we trust you to fix this. Would you mind?
That's cool.
And it's like, nope, happy to do it.